Would you put yourself in harm's way for the life of a tiny, helpless creature? Would you walk into the heart of the African wild, where danger follows every footstep, just to save a fading heartbeat? That is exactly what Amara did, and what unfolded next will linger in your mind long after the sun dips below the horizon. The patrol vehicle rumbled slowly across the parched savannah, tires kicking up a thin veil of dust that shimmered in the midday light. Amara sat behind the wheel, her gaze scanning the golden grass and weathered stones, alert for any sign of movement. As a veteran ranger, she understood that the wilderness harbored surprises beyond imagination. Suddenly, a faint trembling whimper carried on the breeze reached her ears. So fragile, it seemed as though a single gust might extinguish it. Instinct took hold. She slammed on the brakes, bringing the vehicle to an abrupt halt. Did you hear that?" she murmured, voice barely above a whisper. Malik, the youngest ranger on her team, cocked his head and nodded, his eyes widening. "It sounds like a lion cub," he breathed. Together, they tumbled from the vehicle, moving with quiet urgency toward the source of the sound. Brushing aside a tangle of thorny bushes, Amara's breath caught in her throat. There, wedged painfully inside a rusted steel pipe, an abandoned remnant of some long-forgotten construction, lay a lion cub no older than 3 months. Its golden fur was matted with dust, its eyes wide with panic. New. Its front legs were jammed so deep that only the faintest tremor of movement escaped its trembling body, and its head lay pressed against the ragged metal rim, each sharp edge digging into its fragile. The cub's ribs and too-thin form shuddered as it tried to pull free, but the more it struggled, the tighter the pipe seemed to constrict. With measured steps, Amara dropped to her knees a few feet away, keenly aware of the cub's terror. She didn't move closer, fearing she might startle it into thrashing and causing further injury. Shh, it's okay, little one, she whispered, her voice a soothing murmur, meant to cut through the cub's fear. The wretched creature hissed weakly, but it was too big to bite or strike. Its energy had drained after hours, or even days, of desperate attempts to escape. Amara could feel her heart pounding as she glanced around, making sure no other hazards lurked nearby. In that stillness, a rustle of grass behind her signaled new movement, and she froze. Just over a rise, a short distance away, a pride of lions had gathered on a small hill. At the forefront stood a lioness, sleek, powerful, her muscles tensed and ears pinned forward, eyes locked on the scene unfolding below. She was almost certainly the cub's mother, bearing a maternal fierceness that radiated through the air. Behind her, 2 broad-shouldered males and several other lionesses stood in uneasy silence. Though not yet charging, their mere presence crackled with tension as if they were every living muscle poised to spring. Amara's mind raced. One wrong move, one false gesture, and the mother lioness could charge in an instant, her furious roar echoing across the plains. The team hovered, breath held, hearts thudding in unison. Malik swallowed audibly, voice trembling as he asked, "So, what do we do?" Amara met his gaze, calm settling into her tone. "We help, but carefully. If the mother sees we're saving her cub, not hurting it, she might hold back." She forced herself to focus on the task at hand, rescuing the cub without drawing a lethal charge from the pride. Keeping her voice steady, she edged closer, hands extended but not too near. The cub let out another faint hiss as Amara's fingers hovered near its scruffy mane. Placing her hand tenderly on the cub's back, feeling its rapid heartbeat stutter beneath her palm, she murmured, "You're safe now." Hold on, little one. Her words were a lifeline, meant to calm a creature trapped in agony. The cub's body trembled against the pipe's cruel metal, its golden eyes blinking as if trying to recognize that maybe, just maybe, help had arrived. But the edges of the pipe were rusted and jagged, turning its entrapment into a painful vice. Amara knelt lower, packing her brow with concern. Wait. She cradled her senses inward as she scanned the pipe's rim. Any attempt to yank the cub free risked dislocating bones or tearing flesh. Anxiety coiled tighter in her chest. She needed a plan. Gently, she rose and reached into her medical kit, retrieving a cloth soaked in water. With painstaking care, she dripped the cool liquid around the cub's neck and shoulders. The dust and grime that had plastered its fur began to lift, revealing tender, unblemished skin underneath. Each droplet sliding across the cub's body seemed to ease its suffering, washing away the grime that had clung since whatever moment it first stumbled into this trap. Soon, the cub's back gleamed in patches, golden fur blending with pinkish flesh that quivered beneath Amara's touch. Encouraged, she motioned to Malik, who knelt beside her. With one hand, he held the cub's small head as if to anchor it with a promise of protection. With the other, Amara slid beneath the cub's hips. Together, they pushed, applying gradual pressure. The cub squirmed, a tiny cry escaping its throat, but its body barely budged. The pipe's constriction seemed unyielding, like cold iron teeth gripping a limp rag. Amara shook her head, voice low. "We can't pull harder, Malik. We risk dislocating its joints." Behind her, the mother lioness lowered her body, tail flicking in rhythmic tension, like a coiled spring preparing to strike. The seconds stretched into an eternity as the cub's breathing grew more labored. Amara's pulse thundered against her throat. They needed to cut the pipe. "Ooh. Get the cutter," Amara ordered. Malik bolted toward the vehicle and returned with a steel tool whose motor whirred to life. Sparks soon burst from the pipe's surface, bright embers dancing in a haze of dust and fear. The cub flinched, and Amara immediately placed her palm on its forehead, whispering, "Almost there, sweetheart. Just hold on." The blade carved through the pipe slowly, each inch grinding away a barrier to life. The lions on the hill shifted, restless. The lioness sank lower, as if inches from charging down the slope, nostrils flaring with each labored breath. Dust swirled in the air, sparking embers, drifting like fireflies around Amara's limbs. 20 agonizing minutes passed, measured not by time but by the cub's weakening whimpers and the mother's growing impatience. Finally, with a shrill screech and a cascade of sparks, the last section of steel cracked free. Amara dropped to her knees and slid her hands beneath the cub's trembling body, pulling it gently from the jagged embrace of the pipe. Instantly, the cub cried out, sharp, startling, yet filled with relief. Its limbs, thin and quivering, found purchase on the dusty ground. But freedom was fleeting. A deep guttural roar erupted from the hill. The lioness charged like a streak of amber lightning, ground shaking beneath her thunderous paws. "Back away!" Malik shouted, voice cracking. Without hesitation, the team began retreating, each step calculated to avoid provoking a final attack. They moved slowly, backs to the pride, never turning so much as a fraction of an inch from the charging lioness. The cub, seizing its second chance, bolted in a different direction, toward its mother. Its small paws pounded the earth, legs wobbling yet refusing to surrender to weakness. The lioness skidded to a halt mere meters from the team, muscles coiled and tail twitching in anticipation. But then, the cub reached her. In an instant, the fierceness melted from her eyes. She bent her head, nostrils flaring as she sniffed her child. A hush fell over the plains in that heartbeat. Then, ever so gently, she lowered her tongue to its forehead, licking away the remnants of fear and grime. Amara exhaled a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. The roar transformed into a low rumble that seemed more content than angry. A mother's quiet relief. As the pride receded into the dense underbrush, sliding away like shadows at dusk, Amara remained rooted to the spot. A soft breeze stirred the tall grass, carrying with it the rich scent of earth turned dry by heat and the lingering tension of what had transpired. She watched the lioness guide her cub, each graceful step a testament to nature's unspoken bonds. Malik approached her slowly, still flush with the adrenaline of the encounter. He hesitated a pace behind her, his eyes never leaving the retreating figures. "Do you think she knows?" he asked quietly, voice tinged with awe. Amara's gaze lingered on the disappearing pride. She recalled the moment when the lioness's eyes had met hers. Fierce, unblinking, neither friend nor foe, but something vastly deeper. "A maybe," she finally replied, a faint smile tugging at her lips. In maybe, for the briefest of moments, she recognized that we weren't threats. Malik nodded, a glimmer of a grin breaking through his tension. "Either way, today will stay with me, forever." Behind them, the team gathered their equipment, extinguishing the last sparks that had danced across the metal cutter. The vehicle's engine rumbled to life, a low growl that matched the wild chorus of cicadas and distant calls of birds. As they began to drive away, Amara stole one final glance at the vast expanse of the African plains, where the setting sun bathed the wilderness in hues of molten gold and blood red. She thought of the many challenges yet to come. Poachers lurking in the shadows, other trapped animals waiting for rescue. The unpredictable forces of the wild itself. But in that moment, watching a small life return to freedom, she felt that every risk, every drop of sweat and fear had been worth it. Suddenly, at the edge of her vision, she spotted the cub once more. It stood at the boundary of the trees, pausing in the twilight. Ah! Its golden eyes glinted in the dim light as if offering a silent farewell. Then, confident and strong, it turned toward its mother and vanished into the wild, where it truly belonged. Amara smiled, hand resting on the door as the vehicle rolled forward, leaving behind nothing but rippling grasses and the echo of a story that would endure. One of compassion, courage, and the unbreakable bond between humans and nature. If this tale of bravery and kindness stirred something within you, share it with others, subscribe for more heart-stirring stories, and remember, every act of compassion ripples through the wild in ways we may never fully see.